Hello everyone, in this video we're going to be setting up an emote wheel and we'll be using some really nice animations from Unity Series Studios. I'll be putting the links in the description, so definitely check them out. Before we get started, I'd like to thank all of my Patreon supporters for the amazing support. This scene will be made available on Patreon. So let's start off with actually having a look at what emotes are in here. So we have some some nice typical emotes, some really cool ones, backflips. Some of them will require you to add some props to it. I'm sure you've seen, in Fortnite and other types of games that, often they will use props. So, there's some really cool ones in here. And there's a ton of them. So it's, basically a ton of emotes. And what we want to do here is we want to set this up so that we can actually use them in a wheel. So if you are going to create an online game with either co-op or multiplayer, these days, I can't remember a single game that doesn't have some emotes for you to use. I mean, it's going to be in there, so might as well do it. And it's actually relatively simple to set something like this up. So yeah, there's some really really cool ones in there. So let's start by actually setting this up. Now what I've done is in the description I've added a couple of images, and I created these in Photoshop. Obviously you can use your own, but I'll be using these. They will be added, so just follow along, and if you want to change it afterwards, you can always do that yourself. So first things first, what we're going to do is we're going to create a canvas. There we go. I always choose scale with pixel size. Now it's up to you how you wanna format this. I'm just using 1080p as the default. I think it's just easier. There we go. So first things first, let's add a image. And this is going to be the big image. So where did I put these? There we go. Let's pull this down. So this will be the full wheel. Now the full wheel is going to be used for two, so set native size. We're going to use this for two reasons. One, to make sure we have everything perfectly aligned. And the second being that we'll be using this image as a shadow as well. As you'll see, it's actually hard to do a shadow with all of those separate images. So then next up, let's add another image, and it shouldn't be a child actually, but it has to be on top. And I'm going to grade this, give this a grading of color. And I'm going to drag in the first piece. So there we go. Again, click set native size, and might not look like it, but it's actually the same size. So I've tried this out, by zooming in, and this is actually a setting that location that perfectly fits it. So 378.5. And again, that's only if you are using the same images. If you don't, then you'll have to, mix it a bit and try to see what fits well. So next up, we're going to duplicate that image, flip it vertically, and just set this on the minus. And that's why it's important to align everything perfectly. That way, it's pretty easy to do. Now we're going to use a little trick here, so I'm going to drag in an empty, set this to 0, 0, 0. There we go. So it's literally located in the middle, and what we're going to do is we're going to, well, we don't need to drag these in, but let's duplicate these, and we'll drag them in here. Now we're selecting the game object, which is in the middle, and holding control, we're literally rotating it along the axis, and as you can see, perfect fit. Let's do that again, duplicate. And there we go, full wheel. Then we can drag these out. We don't need those game objects anymore. And there we go. Now, the reason we want to keep the full image for the shadowing, shadow effect, is for the following reason. So if we select all of these and we add a default shadow here, and I'm just going to, make this quite big, you'll see that this doesn't look great. It honestly doesn't look how it's supposed to, and that's simply because we are using shadows on each individual piece, which will cause its own shadow at its own angles. Yes, you can mess around with these settings and actually find a perfect fit. Good luck with that. It's going to take you a long time to do that properly. So let's just remove all of that. So I'm going to rename the full image as shadow. There we go. And let's simply drag that a tiny bit like this. Oh, sorry about that. Make it black and, I don't know, just change the opacity a bit. And that's it. It actually functions as a shadow. Literally same type effect as a normal shadow anyway, which literally does just this. But as you can see, it's a better fit, and it's actually a shadow for the entire wheel. Now, I've done images, so rather than it being a button, they're all images, and might not be the smartest thing to do, but there's an easy fix for that. So there we go. Going to do them in order, so that way we're going down the wheel. Select all of these and simply add the button. And we're using this button. This is the game creator button component. And if we select this button again, as you can see, all of it fits perfectly well. So yeah, it's rather simple. Now I'm going to change the highlighted color to be a bit darker, and select it on both. No, you can't do multiple editing, as you can see. It's no multiple editing. So we'll need to manually change that. So make sure you pick something that actually works well for you, because yeah, you'll need to manually copy over those values and paste them back in. Cool. And there we go. So that's all pretty straightforward and simple. So I'm going to save here. I'm going to hit play mode. And let's see how this behaves. So as you can see, highlights it well. This one is not properly highlighted, so let's have a look at the bottom one. I think it is highlighting because the color is slightly different. Yeah, so I must have missed one. So let's have a look at that. But as you can see, it works really well. Now the camera moving around like that is one issue we'll fix as well. It's not literally an issue, but it is incredibly annoying. So we'll have to find a solution for that. And let's have a look at which one I forgot. And yeah, I forgot this one. Perfect. So there you have it. It's a rather rather simple fix. So what we're going to do next is I want this to quickly but still smooth in. So basically transition in when we actually press the button. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an empty here, and we'll call this user interfaces, because in your project you'll most likely have a HUD, etc. as well. We'll call this emote wheel. You can call it whatever you want, of course, and let's drag that in here. Now we're going to add something called canvas group, and this allows us to play with the opacity. So alpha 0 literally makes it transparent. So we're going to turn it off as well. I'm going to add a trigger. and this will be, I'm going to do a key hold. So you hold to open up the menu, and you let go basically to close the menu. You don't have to do that, you can toggle it, but I think this makes more sense in a game. On key hold, I'm going to use tab. Seems like a good one for this. Now it's important that you use on timeout, really important, because otherwise, it won't close down if you let it go up again. I'm just going to add the actions here. You don't have to do that. Just want to keep it clean and organized. And we're going to, well, there we go, adventure camera settings. So what we want to do is your default camera motor. We want to turn off allow orbit input while we open up this menu. So that way you won't have it moving around, like crazy. Then the next action is going to be a set active. I'm going to turn on the emote wheel. And then the next one is going to be canvas group. Again, drag in that emote wheel. Going to turn this down to 0.2, it needs to be a bit faster. And we're going to turn up the alpha back to 1. So yeah, that's it. Then next up, we want to have a trigger for when we let go of the button. So key up. Again, the tab. And we're going to add some actions, and they're basically the, the inverse of everything we just did here. So orbit input is back on. I'm actually going to turn off allow zoom. I don't want zoom. Then we'll copy over this one as well, and the order is slightly different. We first wanted to basically fade out before it gets deactivated. And that's it. That's literally it. So let's give this a go. I'm going to hit save here. Cool. So holding tab, as you can see, I can now move around the mouse, and we won't have orbit input. All works well. I let go of tab, and it all functions again. Now nothing happens when I press these buttons because we didn't set up any actions yet. But yeah, that's it. That's all we have to do. So what we want to do next is we want to actually set up some actions for these. So I'm going to momentarily turn alpha back to 1. Just, remind yourself to turn it back to 0. We have number 1. Now, ideally, you'd have some matching image, showcasing what the emote actually looks like. So a sprite, basically, of what the emote looks like. I haven't done any, but I'll show one way to do this, basically. But yeah, you basically need an image here, and all of them will need it. So what we're going to do is we're going to simply select character gesture, player here in this case, and well, let's select some let's do this one, copy over, and I'm not going to turn on wait till complete. We want to be able to cancel these emotes. If you don't want to be able to cancel these emotes, then don't turn on wait till complete. Really that simple. But I think you should. And yeah, let's pick some others. Cool. So selected a couple. These will play, which is perfect. But we also want to make sure we turn off that wheel. So basically we need to make sure that all of those inputs get turned off as well. And that's why I've actually should have just put these in separate actions, but oh well. That's okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add some actions here. Turn off wheel. There we go. Oh, need to make sure I copy over the correct ones, of course. And there we go. What I'll be doing is I'll use the execute actions. Wait to finish, and I'll drag in these actions. And there we go. And let's just copy all of this over. As you can see, it's a lot faster than having to copy over all of those actions. And that way, if you forgot something or want to change something, you only need to change one set of actions. Just a smoother experience overall. Perfect. So all done. So let's give this a go. And just for, just to demonstrate what I mean, let's see if I have a sprite that would make some sort of sense. I highly doubt it, but we'll replace it with a matching one. I mean, none of these make any sense whatsoever, but it's fine. Anyway, as you can see, we have a sprite. That's how it works. And there we go. Cool, let's give this a go. Alpha back to 0 and turn it off. So now when I hold tab, I have my wheel. I click on one and it plays the gesture. Now, as you can see, we have a small offset here, which we'll need to fix, and it's actually really simple to do. So we can stay in play mode. Let's check which one it was. I think I used the first one here. Perfect. So let's try a offset of 0.1. Let's see if that's enough. And it actually is. Perfect. And obviously, as you can see, these will need the same type of offset. I think this is the box skills one. So we can use 0.1. Yeah, there we go. Open this up again, and perfect. And as you can see, they're incredibly cool. Really, really well done. And yeah, that's pretty much all you have to do. Now you can play around a bit with, with the delay. So when we go out of play mode and we have a look at, the fade in, fade out, 0.1 might be a tiny bit aggressive, so you could change it to 0.05. Play around with it a bit. Just keep in mind that you need to transition from several different states into this, so that's why 0.1 fade might not be the worst idea. So that's it for this video. I'm going to link everything in the description, so the images, I'm going to link to this emote pack as well. Hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next one.